I hear people say that this candidate is divisive, or this candidate can unite the country. I believe that no single political figure is responsible for the division or could bring this country together. Our current system and environment depend on the division and constantly work to increase the divide. We are constantly programmed to pick one side and believe the opposing side is evil, but it does not have to be this way. Waiting for some politician to fix the problem is like waiting for a fox to fix the chicken yard fence. So if some political leader is not our path to peace and unity, who or what is? The answer to that question is both easy and hard. The solution is both simple and complicated. The easy answer is each of us has the power to bridge the divide. The simple solution is honest communication. That really sounds simple and easy. The hard, complicated part is that it requires a few things from each of us that we seem to have forgotten or were never taught. I will lay out what it takes. What you do with that knowledge is entirely up to you. I am no prophet, guru, or wise man. I can barely manage my own affairs. So why should you listen to me? That is an incredibly good question, and I really don't have an answer. I'm going to ask you to listen to what I have to say, and do not judge it based on the person delivering the message. It is not my message. It is as old as time and has been spoken by many men much greater than me. My message today is not particularly religious, although you can find portions of it in many world religions. If you are not interested in changing things, or you do not believe that I could possibly have any real answers, you can stop watching now, and I will thank you for listening this long. I know how precious time is, and I will not waste any more of yours. If you are still here, then you have already taken the first step towards change. You are listening to someone who you would normally not listen to. You have shown that you are willing to hear what someone else thinks, feels, and says. You have demonstrated curiosity and an openness to possibly hearing something new, although what I had to say is nothing new. First, to solve any problem, the problem must be clearly defined, and the contributing factors understood. The local problem is the division in American society, but it could also be expanded to the divisions in all of humanity. Some of the factors that contribute to this division are personal background, lifestyle, financial standing, religious beliefs, political beliefs, and too many other things to mention. They can all be boiled down to differences, ignorance, and misunderstanding. Most people avoid what is different or uncomfortable. Because we avoid so much, we are ignorant about many things. Ignorance leads to assumptions and misunderstandings. Wow, I just had a Yoda flashback. Some of you are starting to see where this is all going, and others realize that they knew all of this already. I told you that I am no voice in the wilderness. Nothing in this message is mine except the delivery. So what comes next in solving the problem? Now that we clearly know the problem we want to solve and the main factors that contribute to the problem, we can start to look at what we must do to counter those factors. This is where it starts to get more difficult, because this is where it starts to get uncomfortable. Every human interaction can be constructive or destructive. The greater the interaction, the more constructive or destructive it can be. This is why some people mistakenly believe that some political figure can fix the problem. After all, they have a huge platform and interact with millions or billions. The problem cannot be solved by one person speaking. It can only be solved by millions of people being willing to listen. There is a reason that human beings have 2 ears and only one mouth. It is much more important to listen to others than to speak to them. I'm not the important one in this interaction. You are. If our differences divide us, then it only makes sense that our similarities would unite us. We will always have differences, and that is all right. The problem is when we allow those differences to divide us and cause us to forget all the similarities that bring us together. The internet could be the greatest tool to unite us and increase understanding. Instead, social media has been designed to exploit the worst aspects of human nature. Even our entertainment has been co-opted to push a political agenda. Remember when I said that we avoid what is different or unknown? Some people figured that out a long time ago and have been exploiting it for years. They developed programs, movies, music, books, and other forms of media to slowly change public perception and to create an acceptance for what was once unacceptable. This is not necessarily a bad thing, but it is easily corrupted when a large portion of the audience is unaware it is happening. Content is created to cater to a target audience. Sometimes there is an innocent explanation for targeted media. Sometimes there is an agenda. The problem is not with either type of targeted media. The problem is an uninformed audience that does not understand the difference. The same goes for social media. Facebook, Twitter, and other companies make money based on how long you are online with their product. They understand that you have a comfort zone, and they program your internet experience to keep you comfortable. They send you notifications to keep you coming back throughout the day. They constantly bombard you with a viewpoint that you are comfortable with. This is the same reason why Fox News became so popular. Not because they are better or deliver a more honest reporting of the news, but because they offer a different viewpoint that many people are more comfortable with, and frankly that they didn't find other places. Everyone and every company with a voice has something to say, and that is fine. The trouble comes from listening to those voices without any understanding of where they are coming from or what any opposing voices are saying. Today we have gotten to a point where a shoe company that is in the business of making and selling shoes has to make political statements or they're accused of supporting the opposition. Everyone is being forced to declare a side on every issue, even when they are completely ignorant of the issue. We expect everyone to share our knowledge and viewpoints because we are constantly fed a stream of media that supports and enforces our viewpoint. Today it is considered wrong or evil to admit that you don't know enough to have an opinion. Today it is considered wrong or evil to say that you want to see some data or proof. It is evil or wrong to present data or proof that disproves or calls into question the validity of someone else's argument. That's just wrong. Back to our similarities. We all want to be heard and accepted. We all want to be treated fairly. Except for those who are pathological, we all want to be happy. So how can we use this knowledge to unite us? We can listen to each other with an open mind while trying to imagine where the other person is coming from. Some people call this empathy. I call it being human. We can understand that we will not always agree. If I see a blue dress and you see a silver dress, it does not make one of us wrong or evil. When we demonize those we differ with, we leave no room for compromise or reconciliation. We must also be willing to accept and admit that occasionally we may be wrong. When we allow our pride to blind us to the possibility that we could be wrong, we ensure that any outcome where our position is not adopted is unacceptable and intolerable. The answer is easy. But you are now seeing why it is so difficult. We must be willing to be uncomfortable. We must be willing to be wrong. We must listen to others and understand their position. We cannot just be human beings. We must be human. We actually have to care about the people we disagree with or are scared of. We have to try to understand their fears and motivations. We have to listen to and acknowledge their feelings as well as their argument. We can discuss and debate without demoralizing or destroying. Education and discussion should build people up and bring people closer together. It should not tear us down and drive us apart. There is not your truth and my truth. There is only the truth, and your perception of that truth and my perception of that truth. Only through real communication can we realize that truth, or at least understand why the other's perception of that truth is different. Unless you are willing to be uncomfortable, unless you are willing to accept that you might be wrong, unless you are willing to admit that you do not have all the answers and are willing to accept that no one else does either, unless you are willing to listen and empathize with others, unless you begin to understand how media factors into your worldview, unless you are willing to remember and hold on to the things that unite us, unless you are willing to do all of these things, we will never see any lasting unity. The last thing you have to be willing to do is the hardest of them all, but it is also the most important. You have to be willing to do all of these things when the other person does not. You have to be human and civil when the other person is full of primitive passion and animal instinct. You have to treat the other person exactly how you would want to be treated, especially when they do not treat you that way. Sound familiar? Each and every one of us must be the change. No political figure can solve the problem because each of us is the problem. Each of us is also the solution. Each of us has two wolves inside. One is goodness, humanity, unity, and compassion. The other is evil, inhumane, divisive, and uncaring. The one that is the strongest and maintains control is the wolf we choose to feed. This is not my message or wisdom. I'm just trying to pass it along. I struggle daily and fail often. I will try to improve. How about you?